Hi everyone, Rachel here from Rachthestamper.com, and thanks for stopping by today. This is going to be a really quick treat holder I'm going to share how to make. This one I did in a Halloween theme because I didn't do a whole lot of Halloween treat holders this year, but I'm going to show you how to make one for Christmas, and you could use any DSP to decorate it. But the fun thing is it has this little flap that pops out, so you can fit a good amount of candy or treats in here, and then you can totally omit the flap if you don't need it, but I think it's kind of neat because it slides right in there and then the whole box is closed without any ribbon or glue or anything. This one I just decorated with the festive phrases, and then I added a couple of the little feathers stamped with the gold Delicata ink, and then I actually, believe it or not, these are some of the Share What You Love faceted gems. I know they're totally not Halloween, but the colors kind of worked really well with it. So I'm going to show you today on a piece of cherry cobbler cardstock. So you are going to need some 12, it doesn't need to be 12 by 12, but I use 12 by 12 for this, but this actually measures 7 by 10.5. So I have Night Before Christmas. I picked out 2 coordinating pieces. You could use any pieces you like, but I really love the presents. I'm going to tell you, in this pack, honestly, my favorite, I love these ornaments. I think I've shared this with you before. This so much reminds me of my grandparents and growing up and their Christmas ornaments. And then I absolutely love the trees with the lights. They're so cute. Reminds me of Charlie Brown Tree Lot. So we're going to use these 2 pieces, and we're not going to use huge pieces. You could also use Brightly Gleaming, and then you could use the Pretty Peacock or Night of Navy for that. You could also use the Most Wonderful Time. Oh, so many choices. You're going to need the Trio Punch because we're going to need the corner rounder. And you're going to also need some sort of scoring device. Now, I'm going to use my Simply Scored for this, but it's very, very easy to make, and I'm going to show you how to do it. So what we're going to do for the beginning, on the 7-inch side, you're going to want to score at 2 inches and 6 inches. And then you're going to rotate it 90 degrees. So this is the landscape part, and you're going to score it at 2, 5, 7, and 10. Now, on this box here, I actually had a longer flap, so I made this instead of 10.5, I made it 10 3/4, but you don't really need a flap that large, so you can really omit that if you want. And then what we're going to do is we're going to take and fold our paper on all the score lines, and you're going to want to reinforce this with a bone folder so you get some really nice crisp edges. And I just had my bone folder, of course, so now it's missing in action, so I'll just grab another one. So I'm just going to make sure I reinforce these. Pardon me. And then we're going to do a little bit of trimming. So what we're going to do is we don't need these 2 pieces here on the end and this whole entire piece here. So I'm going to grab my scissors. A few of them I am going to cut a little notch into because I think it makes them hold a little better. So I'm going to notch this part right here, and then I'm going to cut this whole panel off. And this one you want to keep straight because we are going to round the corners, but we're going to get rid of the entire rest of this. So we're going to cut this here. And we're going to cut this whole strip right here off. So you could use your trimmer if you wanted to, but I'm going to just cut along with my scissors. Straight as I can. I'm still so bummed that I missed out on those Stampin' Up! Craft scissors, because I feel like no matter which blade you get, it's really hard to get a crisp line, and those scissors just seem fantastic. Now I'm also going to trim up to the score lines here, and I really wish they would come back out with those scissors. You could probably get the same type of scissors anywhere, but you know, when you see the ones everyone else has, you just really want them. Okay, so now I'm going to go back to my paper snips just because they're a little smaller. I'm going to give these 2 smaller flaps a little miter cut. And then I'm just going to trim just a little off because these are going to be the side flaps, so they don't have to be perfect. And then same for this one. Just give this a little miter cut on each side. And cut the end off just a little. Now typically what I do is whatever the back is, which is going to be this, because this flap is going to go in, this one I like to keep nice and straight. So I am going to just make sure if there's any little pieces hanging over, I'm going to just barely trim this little score mark off. But these I want to keep nice and square. That looks pretty good. I think this is a little bit angled. And then this one I'm going to give just a little teeny miter cut to, because this is going to go underneath. You don't really need to trim the bottom off. You can if you'd like. I'm just going to take maybe like 1/8 of an inch off. All right, now what we're going to do is we're going to actually add the DSP before we assemble this box, okay? But I'm going to go ahead and put tear tape on now. So I'm going to put it on this little flap here. And this is going to hold it shut. And then I'm going to put it on this piece here. This is going to be the very square bottom panel. And if you really feel like you're very worried about your flaps, you could put a little piece of adhesive on your flaps as well. That way when they go in, they'll stick to the bottom of this. So if you want to do that, you could do that with a little bit of either snail or fast fuse if you still have it. Now I'm going to trim up my DSP. So I'm going to grab my paper trimmer. This is available November 1st. So available to customers November 1st is our paper trimmer. So I'm going to cut this just a hair shy of 3 inches. So I'm going to cut this at 2 7/8. And you can, I do have my, this paper is 6 by 6, but since I did my DSP share, I do have some paper that's already pre-cut. So you can get both pieces out of this. So this is going to be 2 7/8 by 3 7/8. So I'm going to do the same thing again. So it's just 2 marks before the 4. And then 2 7/8. And then I was trying to find a paper that would kind of coordinate, and I couldn't find anything that I loved enough. So I'm going to just use the stripes. So this one you're going to cut, and I'm going to keep this, it's not really directional, so it doesn't matter. This one's going to be 1 7/8 by 3 7/8 again. 1. Now, I did make the mistake when I put my other box together that I did use liquid glue, which is fantastic, but I didn't get all the way to the end. And I found that a couple of these pieces are lifting up. So you do want to do one of two things. When you're going to use your liquid glue, which is great because liquid glue does help with being able to have maneuverability, you want to make sure you get all the way to the end for this, okay? Because with us basically bending this box a little bit, you really want to make sure your paper sticks all the way to the end. So what I'm going to do is just take the larger piece, I'm going to put it down, and kind of can move it around a little bit. That way you ensure that the glue is all the way to the edges, and then just press. Same with the thinner strip. Kind of give it a little bit of a wiggle. I find that that helps kind of also spread out the glue so you don't get any goopy spots that are like bubbly. So just slide that around just a little. There you go. And you can skip the thinner panels. If you don't like that, you totally don't have to do it. Now, before I get ahead of myself, I also want to fold this in, and I'm going to round the flap because it does make it much easier to get in. Now, if you don't have a corner rounder, you could just round them by hand. Maybe you might still happen to have that Project Life corner rounder, so anything works, but it helps to get them in a little bit. And I'm going to trim this just a hair because that just didn't match up exactly. Okay, so now I'm going to remove the release paper from the tearing tape and just fold this over. It is square, so it should match up exactly. And again, this piece has just a little, I'm just going to put a teeny bit more, oops, glue there. Okay, now when you do put this together, you're going to want to squeeze these a little bit. So this is the part where you want to make sure that everything looks nicely adhered before you put the box together, because this is going to be your chance to put some glue or tape underneath. Like this one, you can see this lifted a little bit. So I could certainly put some glue in there, but just to save yourself the trouble, make sure that your glue is on there nicely. So one other thing we're going to do, let me just pull this off. I'm going to remove the release paper here. Okay, and then you're going to just fold your flaps in. Fold this down. Make sure it's nice and square. This should fit perfectly over the bottom. And then you can kind of take your bone folder and just press to make sure everything sticks together. And then this one sometimes just takes about 1 or 2 times to kind of put it in to get the fold to go in nicely. Because you do have your paper, your cardstock, I should say, which is a little bit stiffer, and your DSP. And then, there you go. Fits just nicely in there. It stays closed all by itself, okay? And then what you're going to do is I kind of just stick my finger in to help it come out the first time or two, but after that, it does really work nicely. So all you're going to do is fill it with your treat. Excuse me, I have some little Snickers bars that you could put in there. Where's the rest of my candy? No one has eaten it because all the candy in here is really old. Some Kit Kats, and then you'll just kind of squeeze it closed. Pardon me. And then just like that. So it's filled with candy. So now all we have to do is add a little something to the front. So let me just move these couple things out of the way. So we have lots of cool sentiments for treats. You could do sweet treat for you. This is from the Tiny Keepsakes. Maybe if you want to keep it a little bit more simple, you could just add a tree from Winter Woods. We could make the bulbs with Making Christmas Bright. Could add a little fun snowman with the snowman season. Merry Christmas to all. You have a lot of different variances on what you could do. Another one that's pretty fun, I think is so cute, is Most Wonderful Time. Hope you have a wonderful Christmas. You could do this tree here and cut it out. And the cool part about Most Wonderful Time, this is an all-inclusive medley, so it also comes with the dies. It comes with these really cute little stars. You also get some glitter ribbon. It's kind of like a tinsel. I don't know where I put it right at this moment. But it comes with all of this DSP, this nice cardstock, and then you also get these little cute stickers with it. So there's so many fun things that you could do with this. This is a great medley of products if you haven't seen it yet. I did do a video on it the other day, so if you happen to have missed it, might want to go back and check that out. So what I'm going to do for this is I think I'm going to cut this one out instead using a stitched shape. And I'm going to do something with this Making Christmas Bright, because I think this is a really fun, sweet, and this actually is in the annual catalog because this carried over from the last holiday catalog that we had, believe it or not. So I'm going to do 2. All right, so I'm going to cut one a little bit bigger with the second largest stitch shape, and then I'm going to actually cut my sentiment with the smaller stitch shape. I'm going to grab my foam mat because this stamp set is photopolymer. I wonder if this will fit in there. That's going to maybe be a little bit tight, I think. But you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to do something different. I'm going to stamp this. So instead of using like a foil, I'm actually going to stamp it with this, cut it out, and I'm going to use, while I have it out, the Gold Delicata ink, and I'm going to stamp, this little wreath. So instead of using like another piece of paper or cardstock or foil or something, I'm going to kind of decorate one with this. That's super adorable. And where's my lid? And we're going to cut this one out. Let me make sure I line that up correctly. That looks pretty good. We're going to cut this one out with the larger of the stitch shaped circle. And then for the smaller one, which this should fit fine, let's see what we can fit in here. I wonder if this will fit. May your Christmas be bright. I'm going to do this. So here's what we're going to do. Let me grab a block. I'm going to put the bright first, and I'm going to do that in Cherry Cobbler ink. And then I'll add the other. As you can see, my Cherry Cobbler, this is an old pad, one of the linen pads. It's not super pretty looking, but it still stamps wonderfully. So in case you had this happen to yours, unfortunately with the red inks, we had quite a problem for some time with that, but it does not inhibit anything. And I'm going to stamp this just to stick with it. I'm going to do that the gold delicata ink on this one and see what this looks like. Hopefully it'll be cute. Kind of tie those two parts together. The nice part, since this is photopolymer, is you can see exactly where you want to line it up. Oh, that's super cute, and that will fit right in there very nicely. And I want to do one other little thing, just to add one more thing in. I'm going to do these little stars on the side. I'm going to see if I can fit one in. I don't know if I'll be able to fit it once we cut it, but I'm going to stamp it for the heck of it, and we'll see what comes of it. So I'm going to do these little stars. Let me cover this up. And since we do have some green, I'm just going to grab my old olive, just to make this a really Christmassy color. So I'll put one here. That's cute. All right, and one here. And we'll see what we end up with when we cut it out. It may not all even fit on there, and that's fine. But sometimes I just like to do little something out of the box. So I'm going to cut both of these out. So I have the third largest stitched circle and the second largest stitched circle. So I'm going to cut both of these out with my die cutting machine. Something's going to fit with the stars. Might not be the whole thing, but really cute. So I was able to fit a little bit of that in. So I have my little wreath piece, which is hopefully adorably cute. Now I'm just wondering, is this going to fit on the inside? So guess we'll find out in a second. So there's that. Oh, you know what? It almost covers it up. So I'm actually going to pop this up. And then just to kind of bring the two together, I am going to sponge the edge just a little bit. And I'm going to go back to that Cherry Cobbler. So I just have a sponge. You do want to be careful because the Delicata inks are pigment ink. So it does take a little bit longer for them to dry. So just try to be a little bit careful until they're fully dry. And I'm going to sponge the edge of this one too, just to bring it together. Okay. All right, and now I have my dimensionals. So since I have them out, I'm just going to grab a black dimensional, and I'm going to put 2 on the inside here. 1, 2. And then I'm going to put this right on top. Oh, that looks super cute. So it is just at the edge of the wreath. You can just barely see it under there, but I think it looks really, really sweet. And just for one more thing, I'm going to add a little teeny bit of ribbon. Again, I did do a ribbon and a paper share with this catalog. That's a little bit too bright red. I'm going to do the striped ribbon. So I am going to do that again when we have the occasions catalog. It was a DSP share, which is one of every paper in the catalog. And then I also did a ribbon share. So I thought that was really, really fun. So what I'm going to do for this is I'm actually going to put this underneath and I'm going to fold it. I've been doing this a lot because I think it's really cute. But so we don't need this whole piece, that way it's not wasteful. What I'm going to do is I'm actually going to just trim out. I'm folding a piece over and I'm going to trim it. And then I'll cut the same piece on this side, approximately. And then I'm going to take a mini glue dot. And you can make either side stick out, so you could use whichever side you prefer. I'm going to use the white. So I'm going to pick up a mini glue dot. I'm actually going to take 2. And I'm going to put it, oops, right here on the end. And I'm going to stick these together. So it kind of makes that little loop like I want. So there's one. And then I'm going to do the same thing. Could certainly use your paper piercer, your take your pick tool, but spur of the moment crafting, that's usually the way I tend to roll. All right, so then I'm going to put, you could use fast fuse, tear and tape. I wouldn't use snail only because this is a little bit thicker of a piece of ribbon. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to put this here. See if I line this up approximately correctly. So one, and that way, make sure I put my glue in the right. Let me just move this glue up a little bit. And I want to make it so it looks like it's just one piece. So I'm trying to make sure I line this up straight-ish. All right, so just like that. And then one more time with a few more dimensionals on the back. And since I have this here, I'm actually going to put one here just to make sure it's in the right spot. We'll kind of hold it until that glue dries. Okay, and I'm going to pull this off and just pop this right on the front. Just like that. Super duper easy, and then also definitely saving on some ribbon there. So with this one, what I did was I actually put some adhesive on the back of my sentiment here, and then I put the ribbon on and trimmed it off. So it kind of looks like a piece of paper, but that's actually that black scalloped edge ribbon that's in the holiday catalog. So really, really cute. Super simple treat holders. They do fit a good amount of treats. Again, just make sure this one is much better versus here. I'm going to need to add a little bit extra adhesive just to a couple parts of this. But I will put all the measurements on how to make these cute, very, very simple treat boxes on my blog, which is rachthestamper.com. If you'd like to get any of the supplies to make these, all you have to do is go to my online store, rachthestamper.stampinup.net. Have lots of awesome specials. If you're going to shop there, I'd truly appreciate if you use my hostess code here. That basically helps me to be able to get some more supplies to share some cool stuff with you. So thank you guys very much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, make sure you give it a like. I really appreciate that. You could also leave a comment. If you haven't already, I would love for you to subscribe to my channel. That way when I make a new video, it'll send you a little alert. All you have to do is just turn on the little bell and it'll let you know the next time I make a video. Thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you have an awesome day.